Today I'm going to talk about email marketing, how to do it, why you should do it, why it's important for your business, and just some tips about how to do it. So I'll jump right in. And really, when we talk about email, there's a lot of different ways that you can do it, but there's huge benefits however you do it and why we recommend it. And so, it will help you, chase down your leads. It can help you get more commercial jobs if that's something you like to explore. And it helps you build loyalty with your existing customers and helps get repeat business from them. And so that's everything that email marketing does for you. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And so a little bit about how you can identify and target high value commercial prospects, methods to create compelling email campaigns that convert, how to automate this for maximum efficiency, ways you can measure and optimize your results, you know, for more growth, more successful campaigns, and how to build loyalty rather with existing customers. And so, why should you listen to me? Uh, we work with a bunch of garage door companies. We've done a lot of work in these areas, and we just have a lot of experience here, and so we know what we're talking about. We've got lots of clients and testimonials, and I won't go through all these here, but they're there for you. So all this stuff ultimately comes down to how we approach internet marketing, and it's really what we call the digital dominance method. And all that means is when you consider online advertising, it's not just one thing or another. You really have to take a comprehensive approach and cover everywhere, but you don't have to do it all at once. And so you really want to build things piece by piece, but ultimately make sure you're doing everything. Okay, and that's what digital dominance is all about. And so today, as I mentioned, we're just honing in on email marketing 101. And so what is email marketing? And everyone's familiar with email marketing. Everybody gets email. Everybody knows what it is. But it's basically a digital marketing strategy that uses email to nurture relationships with new and existing customers. And so, you send targeted emails to promote your products and services to potential customers and to engage with your existing customers. And those are really the two fundamental use cases for email. And does it work? Uh, Statistics do show this time and time again. Although I think, you know, it seems to work a little bit less well, or I should say, if you don't do it very well, it's not as effective because so many people are doing it now. It's kind of like background noise. So when we talk about the tactics here and the strategies, consider how you can do this creatively because it's not just as simple as sending a message. You kind of have to think things through a little bit. But the statistics do bear it out that, the vast majority of people check their email at least once per day. Most people like to be emailed, at least from brands that they like to engage with. Um, a majority of consumers have made a purchase from a marketing email. And email marketing, generally has a 36x ROI, and in part because it's so cheap. I mean, it's not like it's an extremely expensive thing to do. But even for that, that's a very high ROI, and that has been borne out in studies over time. And so additional emails, or sorry, additional benefits rather, uh, they are, you are talking directly with your customers. You can personalize your message to specific audience segments. For example, commercial versus residential. Um, it's tends to be very measurable in the sense that you can have an idea what your average open rates are, your click-through rates are, and depending on how well you track things, understand what conversions you get or leads from emails. And it's relatively low cost compared to other marketing channels. So it's one of those things that you definitely want to be doing. And so here are some examples, and you might see these. This looks like Chipotle or something. But email people an offer. If you have something in your cart, if you've all probably gotten these from um, shopping online, you put something in your cart, you don't buy it, they get back to you. Not really relevant to garage doors, but you know, there are creative ways you could do it. Maybe someone booked with you and then canceled. Well, you could have an email automation go out saying, hey, sorry we couldn't help you, or whatever. I mean, there are a million possibilities. Niche content. This one's about cats, but you can imagine, talking about garage doors, some of the higher dollar doors that are kind of more upscale, luxury, and interesting with the right customer that might be interested in hearing about that. And then obviously, thank you emails after service is a thing that some people appreciate. Many people ignore it, some people don't. So if you're not using email marketing, you're definitely missing out. And so I recommend that you find a way to do it. And we'll talk more about that, but bottom line takeaway from this particular webinar is make sure you're using email in one form or another. And we'll talk a little bit about how you can do that. So if you want to talk about reaching new customers, these are people that you don't do business with, but you'd like to introduce to your services. We're talking about cold email. And cold email has to be done very, very, very carefully because of basically what happened when email started is people very quickly realized it was very easy to reach a lot of people. And when you reach a lot of people, it tends to get results just as a matter of scale. And so everybody's familiar with spam and people who send emails are sensitive to spam complaints. It can hurt their reputation and deliverability because people like Microsoft or Google, Gmail, or other email providers want to protect their customers from spam. And so they have very aggressive spam filters. And if you are not very, very careful how you will do this, not only will your emails not get through, they won't be deliverable, but you'll damage your domain and your reputation and your transactional emails to your own customers. And, those will get blocked too. So you have to approach this very, very carefully. But it can be done. Many people do it. You just have to use caution and due diligence. And it's especially effective targeting commercial. It's not really so effective targeting residential. Um, it can be, but you've got to get the list. And we just the spam rules and the restrictions around residential prospecting are much greater and really just not worth the effort in my view. It doesn't produce the same ROI as interacting with B2B or commercial type stuff. So we don't focus on business to residential. I'm sure there are methods to it, but it's not something that we've cared to learn or investigate because we don't see the upside. But for commercial, it can be a game changer for you. And depending on who you want to target, there are lots and lots of high volume commercial prospects. You could think of who are your commercial garage door customers. Could be auto shops, right? Any commercial entity that has a garage door. Auto shops are an obvious one. Oil change places, even warehouses potentially, or large developments. There's lots of them. You probably know very well. You think of your commercial customers, who pops into your mind. You can target them with cold email. And so the first thing you want to do is define your ideal customer profile. Who do you want to target as a commercial customer? Do you want to target auto shops? Would you rather focus on developers who are going to be building new homes, putting in tons of garage doors, or target them both? Maybe use separate campaigns, use separate messaging because they're different customer profiles, right? So think about who you're talking to when you write these. And as you come up with that, think about your own commercial clients, ones that you've enjoyed working with, that would be good for you. And so then after you kind of identified who you want to deal with, you want to set up your email campaigns. And this is very technical and complicated and kind of outside the scope of what we want to cover here today. I'll try to give it an overview, but this is something that you really have to dig into a lot more detail, but I'll give you the general idea here. So when you're talking about setting up your email campaigns, the first thing you want to do is never ever send email from your actual website domain. So if you have bobsgaragedoors.com, Do not send emails from bobsgaragedoors.com. At least don't send cold emails, because if you get spam reported too much and that domain gets burned out and your deliverability shot, you've just burned the deliverability of your branded domain. Don't ever do that. So in the example of bobsgaragedoors.com, you're going to want to get a hold of, if you don't have it already, bobsgaragedoors.co, bobsgaragedoors.net. Those are the two that I usually get. I don't do like .biz or .ai or any of these other weird ones. Just stick to .co because it looks like .com, and .net because everybody's familiar with .net and it's close enough to .com where people don't think it's weird or spamming. Okay. So get your domains, and then you have to do something called warm them up. And there's several tools for this. Lemwarm is one of them. Instantly is another one. And basically what these things do is they warm up that email domain. So they have a big network of email boxes, and they automate sending email to each other. And if it goes to spam, they automatically move it back into the inbox and things like that. And so what this does is it creates activity in the account that the ISPs, the internet service providers, the email people will see that it's an active account, and it will reduce the risk of it being spammy. This is a very important step. You want to warm this up for a couple weeks at least. Okay, so basically set up your domain, get it warmed up, and then work on the next steps. Okay, and the next step is build or buy a list of commercial prospects with emails. And so there's lots of ways to do this. You can buy lists. That's probably the safest way to do it, because they're probably already vetted to some degree. But you're still going to want to run them through email verifiers. So however you get your list, buying it or scraping it from the internet, which is another way to do it, you're going to want to run it through email verifiers, which tests the emails and looks for bad ones. You want to get rid of all the bad ones. So you may grab a list of 15,000 emails and only end up with about 5,000. That's fine. Better to be safe than sorry, because those bad emails, if they get in your campaign, are going to hurt you. And then once you have your list and it's cleaned up, prepare a simple, short, and direct message sequence. So nobody wants to read your novel. 2, 3 lines at most, just very short, succinct, and to the point. Hey, this is who I am. We do X for your business, and this is why you should talk to us. Okay, what's your value proposition? So keep it short and simple. Maybe one follow-up or two. So maybe a 3-message sequence over a month or two. Nothing crazy. They're either in the market or they're not. And so what you're fishing for here is someone who just happens to be in the market. Your email just lands at the right time. They're like, hey, yeah, I'll talk to Bob's Garage Doors. That's what you're doing here. All right. And then the last thing is you want to get software that will manage a drip sequence for you. And the reason for that is when you're cold emailing, number one, if you try to use MailChimp or things like that, they're going to want to know where your list came from. And they're always going to want double opt-in, and you're going to have higher bounce rates even with email verification software. And you're going to get flagged, and they're going to get all fussy with you, and they're going to be annoying. So you can't use normal email software for this. You really have to use software that's kind of designed to do cold email that does drip sequences. And the way you do that is you drip out a message every couple of minutes. And you want to get to a maximum of 200 emails per day. So this is not a high volume activity. This is a consistent low volume activity that's just running all the time. And you don't want to start at 200 a day on a new account that you're warming up. You want to start at like 5 and then get to 20 and then 40. And so you want to ramp it up to where you want it to be and then go at that constant rate. So, and then, once that's done, you set it and forget it. Just let it roll. So that's basically how you do it. And so there's a lot more detail to that, but that's an overview of the process and how you run a cold email campaign. Okay. And then, as I just mentioned, you want to ramp it up. And then also you want to have a process for handling responses. So it may have occurred to you that if you're sending an email from an email domain that's like a .co or a .net, that's not your normal email domain. So how are you going to handle responses? What I do is when someone responds, it's auto forwarded to my actual email box, me when I do this. So I see it in there and I just respond to it from my normal email address. That's how I do it. There's other ways. You could just have dedicated email boxes for these. There's no right or wrong way to do it. And then just keep an eye on the performance. Generally, I keep the warm-up software running, even when I'm running campaigns, because and it's if you're kind of getting flagged as more spammy, more emails will get pulled into those spam boxes, but then the warm-up software will pull them back out. And so that constant activity of those automated spam retrievals helps hold down your spam score. So it's good to keep the warm-up software running even while you're doing this, and then make adjustments as necessary. If you're too many are ending up in spam, throttle things down a bit, go down to like 50 a day, kind of let the warm-up software throttle down your spam rate a bit. It's the kind of thing you got to keep an eye on and keep a temperature on, make sure it's still working. So the takeaways here, everything starts with knowing your audience. So know who you're talking to and talk to them, talk about your value to them, why they should talk to you. And keep it short and keep it, simple, and don't overdo it. It's mostly set and forget, and that's why it can be a very high ROI. Once you're done, it's just cooking 24/7, or within business hours. You don't want to send them at 2 in the morning, people get mad. But you know what I mean. And yeah, just do it smart, do it right, and be creative. Don't be boring. That's the other thing, which we didn't talk about, but like use good subject lines, get people's attention. Don't be ridiculous. It's a fine line to walk here. But that's what makes it interesting. Okay, so I hope you can see how cold email can help with industry targeting. Side note on this, not going to talk about this today, but this email list you have also has a very useful purpose, which is you can use it as a seed list in Facebook for a custom audience targeting that same set of businesses. So if you have an auto shop list, you can cold email to it. But you can also take that list and use it to run Facebook ads targeting auto shops. And so while you have cold email going on, you can also be running Facebook ads with the same message to the same audience, which tends to make both more effective. So out of scope what we're talking about today, but something to keep in the back of your mind as you look at doing email. So campaigns that convert. Let's talk a little bit about that. So your emails should always lead your customers or your prospects to a desired action. So, and it should be clear what you want them to do. You shouldn't have 10 different calls to action, just confuse them. Or, sometimes the one or another will stand out. So there is an argument to be made for having more than one. But at the beginning, just keep it simple. Have a purpose for the email, what they need to do. Could be buying, could be signing up for a newsletter, could be giving you a call, whatever. Doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's something. And it's not just, they're not left wondering, why did I get this? What am I supposed to do? Make sure that question gets answered and you'll have a better conversion rate. Uh, and so how to set up a great email campaign and help it convert, segment it. So, don't send an email to all your commercial people. If you have lists, break it down by industry. Have an auto list, have a developer list, have an oil shop list, whatever. But have it segmented. And so you can speak differently to those people because they're going to have different problems and concerns, right? They're not all going to be motivated by the same thing. And so when you can speak to them in the language of their problems and solutions that are relevant to them, it's much more effective. Um, multiple touch points, you want to hit them 3 times at least or more, depending on the kind of emails that you're doing. But have a finish line. Don't just pester people permanently. Eventually, they'll get sick of you and they'll spam you no matter what you do. So, for cold email especially, keep it slim. Obviously, for marketing to existing customers, that's a little different. But that's not what we're talking about here. And then clear KPIs. How do you measure success? That depends on what conversion action you're pushing. The measure of success is, did you get those conversion actions? Did you get enough of them? That's ultimately what you're looking for with all of this. And so this is just an example of an automation here. Gotta zoom in, look at the screen here. This looks like one of ours. So we have a segmented audience and it's multiple emails in the sequence. There's checkpoints, for in our case, did they book a call? So if they booked a call, we're done with the sequence. If they didn't, we go down this other branch. And then we check again. Hey, did they book a call? Yes. Okay, we're done. No. Okay, we're out. And then, finally, did they book a call? Yes. Great, we're done. No, they didn't. Okay, let's move them into this different workflow. Right. So again, this is how you build these things. We're targeting a particular segment. We have a particular goal in mind. We're checking in the automation to see if they've done it. If they haven't, we continue. If they have, we stop. And that's putting it all together and designing a campaign that gives you the results that you're looking for. Okay. And then obviously automate it for maximum efficiency. You're not going to sit here sending these, of course. You can't do that. So you want to build this, right, as an automation, like what I just showed you. And you want it all written in advance. You want kind of the schedule set out in advance. So, if email A goes out here, email B goes out a week later or whatever. You can do logic tests, like if they've converted, leave them alone. If they haven't, let's try a different way. And you can still personalize things. So just because you're automating it doesn't mean you're losing personalization. I'll give you an example. I haven't done this as much lately, but for the longest time, we ran a highly personalized maps campaign. So I pulled data for everybody's Google business profiles, how many reviews they have, just all the data that's on your Google business profile, and I used that data to personalize mass emails. So, hey, business name, you know, did you know you have X rating with Y reviews, question mark, or whatever. And this is accurate because we pulled it from them. So yes, it's going to be true. And I say, here's these things, here's this other things that we found. You've got this website, these are your hours, here's your category. And then commentary, if your category is not this, you should change it because this is a category you should be using. So it looks like a personalized audit, and it was using their personal information, but we sent this to thousands and thousands of people over time. And I did not personalize every single email. I personalized my data collection and then applied it through custom values to my email templates. So that's how we did that. But so that's kind of stuff you want to think about doing if you can, and it makes sense. And so what we use for this is Revenue Commander. This is our software that we use for all these things. All of our emails and things run through it, and it lets us do these things. So very briefly, uh, how do you write a good email message? The subject line is short, sweet, and speaks desired outcome. And I would add gets their attention. So, I mean, I get so many emails per day. I ignore almost all of them. It's very rare that one will get my attention. And so it has to stand out in a way that's relevant that'll make them want to open it because everybody gets tons of emails. No one wants their time to be wasted. So think carefully about what your prospect or customer would give them pause, like, hey, I'll check that out. Not always easy to answer, but that's the goal of your subject line. And then a personalized greetings, use their name. If it's a customer, you have their name. If it's a prospect, maybe it's their business name. And you want to have an offer, how you're going to solve their problem for them, and then call to action. What do you want them to do if they want you to help them with their problem? And then just a simple professional signature. So these are very simple, straightforward, but there's a recipe or a template you can use that makes a lot of sense. And so here's an example. Um, and this is one that could be done in a personalized way, like it mentions being in business for 35 years. That, think of something you can personalize and include it, but this is a good example of an email. All right, so takeaways for this. Prepare your campaign well so you can set it and forget it, and monitor it, but you don't want to be in this every day. You just want it doing work for you. Write clear and authentic and personalized messages to the extent that you can. Don't come across as desperate. You have value to offer. So a lot of the emails that people get are just, you'll get these. And, they're offering what they want to sell, not what solves a problem for you. And so I'll get emails all the time like, hey, I want to audit your website. You could use better SEO. Okay, thanks. That doesn't help me. That's what we do. So you know what I mean? They're just blasting an irrelevant message everywhere, hoping someone responds. That makes me laugh, but I'm never going to respond to them, because it's not meant for me. So you want to be about your target customer. And do you see how messaging affects your conversions? If someone said to me, "Hey, I know how to make marketing agencies more profitable by 50%," hey, I want to read that, right? So think about messaging that'll be attractive to your customer. And do you see how your messaging can affect your conversions? I think so. I think that makes sense. All right. So now let's talk about engaging with existing customers. And there's a couple different kinds here. There's short-term and long-term. So short-term engagement, that refers to the initial interactions and communications with the customer right after they purchase or schedule a call or any kind of interaction with your business. Um, and this is really important, especially for scheduling. And so you want to give them as much attention after they make a purchase as they did before. You want to be communicative. There's it's very frustrating when you fill out a form on a website and you're not quite sure if it went through or not, and then you never hear from them. It's happened to me a lot as I searched for different home services vendors in my area. A lot of times I never heard back from them, and they lost business. So not only for your own good should you make sure that emails go out, but you should make sure the emails come to you so you don't miss it. And it's just a good practice to do. And so just an example that you could do for or say a repair customer, after you do the service, send a thank you message, and then that's all they're expecting from you, right? You're done, their garage door fixed, they're happy. But then maybe a week later, send them a surprise email. Be like, hey, we just fixed your garage door. You got a segmented audience, right? So hey, we just did repair service for these people. Send them, hey, here's what you can do to care for it and make sure that your new spring lasts as long as possible, whatever, right? Then a week later, ask for a Google review. And then week four, send a final check and hey, just make sure you're fully satisfied. And you can have logic baked in there where if they haven't left you a Google review yet, ask again for a Google review. Okay. That was easy to program, but it's doable. And there's the example. Hey, thanks for choosing Franklin Garage Doors. Just as simple as that. Nice and simple. And so, engage the customers. One thing that's not really relevant to what we're talking about today is SMS, but send them text messages. I'm not a big fan of text messaging, but more and more so is unavoidable, and so I'm kind of getting used to it. Makes me feel old. Like text messages for my family, I don't want to talk to businesses, but the kids, they like their text messages, I guess. So you got to do it. Now, long-term engagement is something completely different, and I think equally, if not more important, for that customer, lifetime customer value. And so these are sustained interactions and connections with customers over an extended period. And let me tell you why this matters. For example, if it weren't for emails, I wouldn't remember who my HVAC contractor was, right? They come in, they fix my problem. I don't care who they are. Like problem solves. But if they don't keep in touch with me periodically, I might not even read their emails, but I'm like, oh yeah, that's who that is, right? So then when it's time, I'm going to search my emails. Like, who the heck is my HVAC person? Search my emails. Oh yeah, these guys, and give them a call. That's the power of email marketing and newsletters and why you want to do that more than anything else. And you don't have to do more than once a month, even once a quarter, depending on your buying cycles. I mean, people are not, they don't need repairs that often. You don't need to bug them every single month. But you want to do it enough that you're still top of mind. So somewhere between monthly and quarterly is probably the right cadence. Just depends what you want to do. Yeah, right there. Send it once a quarter minimum or once a month maximum. Share valuable, relevant content. Invite them to follow you on social media. Maybe have a loyalty or referral program. It is always a great idea to ask for referrals. And, don't just make it all about you. Share valuable and relevant content. So any changes to the garage door industry, any new technologies, certainly with openers, you've got all this new smart technology, you know, maybe as AI starts getting involved in garage doors, don't know how that'll happen, but I'm sure it will. Let your customers know about it. That shows them that you're engaged in the industry, you're up to speed, you know what's going on, and that they can trust you for good recommendations. Okay. And here's some examples of the emails that we send out. So we send out a monthly newsletter. And that's what we try to do is, we talk about the webinars that we do when we try to make these webinars useful content, so that people can take these and do stuff and not just be boring and just talking about things. We're not pushing sales on these. You know where to find us if you want to talk. But we want these to be valuable content for you, ultimately, so that when you are looking, considering your marketing partner, that you talk to us, right? That's the whole point of doing all this is, you want more customers, we want more customers, we want to help you get more customers. We're all kind of in this together. And so we share content that we think will be helpful for our customers' garage door businesses, and links to our own content where we go into more depth for these things. So takeaways are: you stay in your customers' minds, demonstrate your loyalty to them so they'll be loyal to you. And it really is, you want to care about your customers. We certainly do. We want them to have success, and we will turn over every rock to make it happen. And you want to know that your own customers feel that way about that. You want your customers to know that you care about them in the same way. They're not just a job to you. When you fix their garage door, you install them a new one, you want to be happy with it, and you want them to not have to call you again soon, because you did a bad job, right? So engage with your existing customers and think about, do you have a short-term strategy? Do you have a long-term strategy? And what other questions do you have about how you might implement these things? And so for your next steps, maximize your emails. Think about what we covered today, how you might start with long-term engagement as you work on building short-term engagement, and then how you consider how you might go to market with a cold email strategy. Um, think about how you might do this and, get something in place. I'm sure Service Titan has a great way of doing this. I don't use it, so I don't know, but from what I've heard, it does. And that just makes sense, right? I mean, Service Titan is a great product. I think Housecall Pro, a lot of people use, also has that. There's off the shelf marketing software, certainly the stuff that we have and we use that we make available to our customers can do all these things. So whatever fits best in your workflow, use it. Just make sure you're doing it. Okay. And so, if you follow these strategies, you will maximize your emails, and you'll make it a high converting strategy for your business. It works great for us, and I know it will work well for you too. We see it work well. And so you've got two options. The first option is you can do it yourself. You yourself can do it, or your team. You can build your expertise in it, start seeing results. And if you're tech savvy enough and you have the time to do it, that strategy can work for you. Second option is, we can implement it for you. You can leverage our expertise to help build your business. We do a lot with email. We do email for our customers, not a ton. Garage doors, in our experience, don't do a ton of outbound email. We're looking to help change that, but not everybody is, not everybody wants to go that route yet. It's totally understandable and totally fine. And if you're a master delegator and want to stay focused on the things that only you can do, this is the best strategy for you. So takeaways are: do it yourself, done for you, have us help you, have someone else help you, doesn't matter, but pick one and do it. Okay. Main thing is use email. It's one of those things that is easy to overlook, but it's very, very, very effective in the long term, and something that ultimately will help you grow over time without a doubt. And if you want to talk to us about it, schedule a free consultation. Uh, we're happy to go over that with you. We do the free marketing audit of your market, all the various things that are going on. You can go to garagedoormarketers.com/apply-now, or give us a call at 888-232-5551, and we would be happy to talk to you. And so that's it for today. I hope this was valuable and you gave you some good ideas and some things to do. And as always, if you have any questions, drop us a line. Thanks for joining today, and we will see you on the next one. And before that, you'll see us in our monthly newsletter sent via email. All right, thanks. Talk next time.